Hi, I'm Ryan White from Hatter's Jack. Today we're going to be doing a little demonstration here for Boca bearing. We're going to be putting a set of their ABEX 7 orange seal bearings into a Shimano Trinidad 14A. We're going to start with the tear down, lube, and rebuild, and we're going to do it step by step and try to give you a little insight on how to do this, and hopefully make your reels perform a lot better. Okay, when I order the bearings, I always order them dry. That way I can choose what lube I want to put into the bearings. It allows you to adjust the speed of the bearings depending on oil viscosity. So, when you start out, you're going to take the bearings, you're going to take a little pick, you're just going to pop the edge right up, and the shield is going to come right off. It's really easy. The orange seal bearings are one of my favorites just for that. So you take your pick, pop it right in underneath the seal of the bearing, and pry up, and it pops right out, exposing the bearing on the inside. And all you need to do, a couple of drops of oil in each bearing. I'm using the Tri-Flow lubricant right now. Some of my buddies that are skateboarders turned me onto this. It works great on bearings. It's very fast oil for a fast running reel. Another brand I use is Rocket Fuel a lot for the slower reels. This particular one I use a little more magnet and a little less oil braking. Okay, start out the tear down of the reel. We're going to start with the keeper nut and keeper. Then we're going to remove the handle, the star drag, then the side plate. You want to use a flat set of pliers just to not scar anything when you're taking this apart, or a wrench. Remove the keeper nut and lay this out in sequence as to the way you took it apart. So we'll put the handle nut there. The handle nut comes off. Then your star drag tension spring, and then your actual star drag nut underneath that holds all the components inside. You're going to have a few little washers that set underneath the star drag nut. Then you're going to have your compression washers, and then another little shim washer in between the compression washer and the bearing. Alright, next we're going to take out the 4 screws on the side plate. One, 2, 3, 4. Now, sometimes these aren't all as easy as what it looks like on the camera, so you might want to bring a bigger flathead screwdriver to loosen them up before you stick the Phillips into them. Next, we're going to remove the whole side plate. You can see, exposing your internal side plate. Remove your anti-reverse bearing collar. That's for your first anti-reverse. Next, we're going to remove the gear right here and the base plate and your 2 anti-reverse dogs on either side. This just lifts right out. That's your cassette drag and your pinion gear. Be careful as to not bend the clips that go around the base plate on your anti-reverse dogs. Your 2 anti-reverse dogs and your base plate. And just as to not lose them, go ahead and take these 2 springs off, and also your pinion yoke and pinion gear. May as well also take the cam off also. Set all that out. Next, you have 4 more small Phillips head screws that go around the base, the inside of your brake plate. You'll remove those 4. Lay the reel on its side on a soft surface, put lots of pressure on, and turn. These are very small screws, so it's easy to strip them out. Okay, with those out, you just grab the spool shaft or the handle shaft right here and lift, and your whole brake plate comes out in one piece. Next, you just go ahead and remove your spool. Spool is real easy to take out. The nice thing about these, especially if you're using them in casting applications, is they have a very light spool, so they cast extremely well. Okay, as you can see, we have the reel pretty much disassembled into all its pieces, and as you can see, it's laid out in the sequence that it all came apart. Next, we're going to start taking the bearings out of the reel side plate, and we also have a bearing on the spool. What we're replacing are just the spool bearings. The only bearings that really need to be replaced on here as to get the best performance. So what we're going to do, you're going to want a heavy pair of pliers, and you're going to want to make sure to not gald this shaft when you do this. So what you're going to do is you're going to put one lip of the plier on the edge of the spool right here, and the other lip of the plier onto the pin, and squeeze just like so, and it'll pop real quick. As you can see, there's no galding on either one of the lips, which is very, very important. You just take this, grab it by the pliers, and finish pulling it the rest of the way out. Just like so. We'll pull this bearing off of the shaft. See, that's how you know you didn't gald it, when the bearing slides right off. Very, very important. And if you do gald it, or you do scrape the edges of these, you need to keep some 500 grit or 1000 grit sandpaper around to polish off any marks that you might make on the shaft. Next, we're going to take our ABEX 7 Boca orange seal bearing, clean off everything real good, and we're just going to slide the bearing back into place, just like so. Now we're just going to do this in opposite. We're going to slide this back in, give it a couple small taps just to make sure it's set good, give it a squeeze, do the exact same thing. Push it back very slowly. Again, as to not gald it. Very careful with this. So what we're going to do is take a pick again, and we're going to reach down inside the reel body, and there's a small retaining clip in here. Put your thumb over top of the bearing so the retaining clip doesn't shoot across the room on you. And we're going to pull this small retaining clip out from around the bearing. And there's your retaining clip. You can see it's an octagonal shape. Then we're going to take the pick again, reach down inside, and we're going to pop the bearing out, just like so. And you can see these factory bearings are full of grease. It's all greased up, so they don't fly very well when you go to cast them. We're going to clean all the excess grease out of the bearing pot. Make sure you don't lose the small brass washer down on the inside. Okay, with all the grease removed, then we'll sit this bearing right into the old bearing's place, just like so. And we're going to take our retaining clip, we're going to put it right back in where it came from. Have to get the edge of the retaining clip in. And it's easiest, no, you're not getting to just push it back down in just like that. You'll hear it snap into place. Then double check it with your pick. Make sure it's pushed down inside the slot that is designed to hold it. Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and start putting this reel back together now that the bearings are changed. We're going to take just one little drop of oil, put it right at the bottom, right inside the bearing there, just like so. And what that'll do is that'll provide a little lubrication for the end play in the spool. Next, we're just going to go ahead and clean all the excess grease or fingerprints or everything off of the spool, just like so. We're going to set the spool back inside, just like that. Then we're going to set your brake plate back on. Now, when you put the brake plate back on, you have 4 small screws. One of them is countersunk, and that is the one towards the back of the reel by the spool shaft, or by the handle shaft, is where that one goes. You'll notice this is a countersunk hole, beveled head on the screw. So we're going to put all these back in. If you so desire, you can Loctite them. When I pull reels apart, I wind up cleaning them about once a year. I typically don't Loctite the smaller ones, but the bigger reels I will. And the other 3 are just regular head. Okay, now that all 4 screws are back in, we're going to go through and we're just going to give them a good snugging. So we're going to do it in a cross pattern. Start out with that one, this one, this one, and this one, and then we're going to go back and do it a second time just to make sure it's good and snug. Just like so. Now this is why we put all this stuff and take it out in sequence, so you know exactly where you have to put it back together.